right now, something huge is happening, kind of quietly, behind the scenes, that is going to completely change how money moves around the planet. We're talking about a massive shift in the basic plumbing of global finance. And today, we're going to break down the three competing visions for what that future looks like. Okay, so let's just start with a really simple question that I think gets right to the heart of it. Seriously, think about this for a second. You can send a video, an email, whatever to anyone on Earth instantly and for basically free. But sending them $20? Well, that can be slow, way more expensive than it should be, and just a total headache. Why? Well, the answer to that weird disconnect is all about the ancient, creaky pipes our modern money still flows through. So here's the peek at what's actually happening. When you send money to another country, it doesn't just, go from point A to point B. Oh no, it has to hop between a whole series of middleman banks called correspondent banks. It's like sending a package that has to be stopped, opened up, processed, and then reshipped by 3 different couriers before it gets to its destination. And yeah, you guessed it, every single one of those stops adds time, adds complexity, and takes a little cut of your money in fees. It's a system that was built for a totally different time, and it is so ready for an upgrade. So if that's the problem, what are the solutions? Well, that brings us to the very first vision for the future, and this one is the incumbent's plan. It's all about upgrading the system from the inside out, and it's being led by a huge project called Agora. So Project Agora is being run by the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIS. Now, if you haven't heard of these guys, you just need to know one thing. They are basically the central bank for all the other central banks in the world. So yeah, when the BIS decides to launch something, it is a very, very big deal. And just look at who they've brought on board. We are talking about 7 of the most powerful central banks on the planet. You've got the Fed in New York, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan. These guys represent the world's biggest reserve currencies. This is basically the G7 of finance, all getting together to build the payment system for the next generation. So how are they going to do it? Well, the magic word here is tokenization. See, right now, sending money is actually a 2-step dance. First, you send a message about the money, and then later, the actual money moves. Tokenization smashes those 2 things together. It combines the message and the money into one single digital package, a token. It's kind of like taping your cash directly to the letter you're sending. That one change turns that whole clunky multi-day journey into a single instant transaction. So the really crucial thing to get about Agora is that this is evolution, not revolution. They aren't trying to tear down the house. They want to take the banking system we already have, with central banks on top and our commercial banks below, and just make it run 1,000 times better with this new tech. Think of it like this. They're keeping the classic car, but they're swapping out the old, rusty engine for a brand new, super-powered electric one. Okay, now let's shift gears to our second vision. And this one isn't some project for the future. It's a reality right now that has already completely rewired the world's 5th largest economy. Let's talk about India's Unified Payments Interface, or UPI. And what's so wild here is just the unbelievable scale. Get this. UPI is already processing more than 640 million transactions every single day. Now, to put that number in perspective, that is just a little bit more than what Visa, a global giant, handles across the entire planet. A single national system launched just a few years ago is already doing more daily volume than one of the biggest names in finance. It's staggering. And the growth has just been an absolute rocket ship. I mean, in less than a decade, UPI went from being just an idea to making up nearly 8 out of every 10 digital payments in all of India. It's a textbook case of hyper-adoption. It's become the literal backbone of the country's digital economy at a speed that is just breathtaking. But the plan doesn't stop at India's borders. UPI is now being exported around the world. As you can see from this list, countries all over Asia, Europe, and Africa are either already adopting it or they're in serious talks. And what that might mean for you is that pretty soon you could be using a familiar QR code from your phone to buy a coffee in Paris or Tokyo, completely skipping the old credit card networks. So UPI's vision is totally different from Agora's. It's a bottom-up disruption. It started as a public good, a tool to solve a national problem. It became this wild success because it was simple and could scale like crazy. And now it's going global as a proven, ready-to-use alternative. And this brings us to our third and, honestly, most radical vision. This one isn't about upgrading the old system, and it's not about exporting a new one. This is about building a totally new financial architecture from scratch, from the ground up. And it's led by a project called mBridge. Okay, this slotty right here is so important for understanding the difference. With Agora, remember, the tokenized money is still basically a claim on your commercial bank. It's just in a really efficient digital package. With mBridge, the money is a central bank digital currency, or a CBDC. Think about it like this. The money in your bank account today, it's technically an IOU from your bank. A CBDC is completely different. It would be like digital cash issued directly from the central bank to you. There's no commercial bank in the middle. It's a deep structural change to how money even works. And the group of players involved here is also pretty different. Yeah, the BIS is involved here too, but the main central banks driving this are from China, the UAE, Hong Kong, Thailand, and most recently Saudi Arabia has jumped on board. So it's a different group of countries exploring a very different technological road. And this slide gets to the much bigger stakes at play. The potential here is about way more than just efficiency. A system like mBridge, as the source material points out, would allow countries to become partly independent of the U.S. supervised financial system and restrictions to SWIFT. So we're not just talking about faster payments anymore. We're talking about the potential to create totally new, parallel tracks for global finance to run on. So there we go. 3 totally different ideas, all in a race to define the future of money. Let's put them all side by side and see how they stack up. This table really pulls it all together. You've got Agora, the top-down evolution from the G7 incumbents using tokenized deposits. Then you've got UPI, the bottom-up disruption from India that's already proven it can scale. And finally, you have mBridge, the ground-up rebuild led by China and its partners, using a whole new kind of money. Evolution, disruption, and revolution. So why does any of this matter to you? Because this isn't just some boring technical update for banks. The winner of this race doesn't just get to set the technical standards. They get to define the fundamental infrastructure, the actual rails that the entire global economy is going to run on for decades. And all of this leaves us with one last massive question. As money becomes truly digital, will these new technologies create a single, seamless global payment system that brings all of us closer together? Or will they end up creating parallel, competing systems that actually draw new financial and digital lines on the world map? The race is on, and right now, the outcome is anyone's guess.